to Ukraine and meet these ladies.
Tell me about your experience on the social. On the first social, you were late.
Yes.
You had only 15 minutes of the social, but you managed to take, what, 16 numbers for that 15 minutes?
Yes. One of the thing, like, even if this is war situation, there's less guys and more ladies. They are wanting to get accustomed, or they wanted to meet a man. So they're like hurrying up. So it's a good sign that you have more dates. You get to know more girls, And on the key, I managed to get more numbers and like more people on the dates. The ladies were nice. I was talking to them, And over here you get a good choice, so you can, so you're not stuck with one person. Then you go back to US and you forgot, and so it's really difficult. You come back from US all the way to Ukraine just to meet 2 or 3 ladies. So my recommendation is like to meet many ladies and get to know them and choose your future wife.
Did you have correspondence with any girl before?
Like before, I didn't have correspondence, but I was talking to the Maria. But when I came here, I didn't have correspondence before. Yes.
So you prefer, what do you think is better? To write letters or to come to meet those girls right away?
For me, the best way is to come to meet the ladies here, so you can have the face-to-face conversation. You can meet them, how they look like. You can talk to them and get to know them more, and develop into a serious relation.
How many dates you have today?
I have 3 dates today.
How many dates you had yesterday?
I had 3 dates yesterday.
And how are the ladies like? What
like I said, it's like a normal meeting. I mean, like in the first 2 hours, 3 hours, you just exchange your basic ideas. Then from there, if both parties interested, you go further advance, and then that's how you get to know everywhere.
Did you go to any other countries before?
No, I haven't gone. This is my first.
And why you decided to come to? Why you decided to come? Like you have friend or?
Yeah. I know a friend who is in Texas. He has been married to an Ukrainian lady for 15 years, and they have 2 kids. And he told me, if you want to go meet good ladies, the quality, who prefers family, you should first go to Ukraine, because that's a place, they are more elegant and, family oriented and good culture like Europe, And what else? So I came here, and I'm not regretting, because I met wonderful ladies. I'm on the process of selecting one person for my life.
What would you recommend to the guys who are sitting there right now on a couch, writing letters? What would you recommend them to do?
Well, my first recommendation for whoever is sitting in the couch writing letters, come here and experience the social, and see the ladies face to face and talk to them, get to know them, so you can have a first-hand experience. Then you never know who is going to be your future wife, Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
No, thank you. Absolutely.
And thank you for sharing that with the guys. It's very important for guys to know.
Welcome, guys, to our wonderful Monday night webcast. My name is John Adams, one of the co-owners here of A Foreign Affair, and we're coming to you live. Live. It's a wonderful thing. As you notice, I am without Anna, who's normally with us. She is on assignment, but this time I get to tell you about her assignment. She's actually on her way to the Ukraine, because she is going to be leading that tour coming up here on the 22nd of November in the Ukraine. So she's going over to get ready and get everybody ready. And it's an amazing thing we're doing over there. So looking forward to that. So I'll be with you for the next hour. We'll be talking about lots of different topics here. Tonight's a little bit different. We're going to talk about a little bit different topic that we usually don't talk about, because, well, men don't talk about these things, so we usually don't. But I thought it'd be interesting, and so we have, and because I read an article actually about this, and about how men tend to get isolated especially, well, now younger men even, but especially older men. And it's an interesting dynamic. And I just wanted to touch on a little bit. We're not going to delve into it too deeply, but there's some interesting things. And it kind of relates to what we do with our group tours and all that stuff. And we have a tour, or excuse me, a question here for you guys. What's the question again here? Where is it? Well, actually, you know, if you've taken an AFA tour, do you still have any friendships with the men that you've met there, okay? So in the past, if you've ever taken an AFA tour, do you still have any friendships with those guys? And I ask this because when I talk about the group tours, I talk about so many different things that are part of that group tour, right? It's like an onion. You keep peeling it away, there's still almost, you know, stuff there, right? And with our group tours, there's so many different attributes that you're going to experience while you're on that tour. And one of those, other than just meeting all the wonderful and beautiful women, and that's the main idea of this whole thing, but another attribute is, and a benefit is actually getting to know some of the guys that are on the tour. And I'm telling you, I've been doing this for 30 years now, and so many of our guys have met lifelong friends from the tour and have started businesses with guys they've met on the tour. And it just goes on and on and on. And I think that's cool because as we get older, it gets harder and harder to make friends for a lot of reasons. I'm not going to go into all of them, but I'll touch on some of them, right? And yet when you're in a group like this, it all of a sudden becomes easier for, again, another host of reasons that we'll talk about a little bit. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So feel free to share that, guys, with me today. If you've been on our tour or if you've just gone over on a club, maybe you met someone else while you were over there. I'd be curious to know, okay? All right. But before we really get going here, I do want to give a shout out to all of our veterans out there. I know there's a bunch of you that watch the show regularly. And, you know, guys, without you and without your service in the military, people like me wouldn't be able to sit up here and pontificate about whatever the hell I want to pontificate about and have the freedom to do that. And we owe you a huge debt of gratitude for that and for your service. So thank you to all of you guys that have participated. And, you know, by virtue of being a veteran, you placed yourself in harm's way, and that's a huge thing. And I, for one, really appreciate that. And all of us at A Foreign Affair would like to give a big shout out to all of our veterans. So on Veterans Day, thank you so much. All right. I also want to give, where's my little thingamadig? Here it is. And actually, we'll do this for the veterans. So there we go. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you. See, they won't stop. It's wonderful. I love this. But I also want to give another big shout out for someone who's been a friend of AFA for a long time. He's gone on several tours. He's been trying to find his one and only now for a few years. And I am proud to announce that they just tied the knot. They just got married in Mexico here, I think, over the weekend, because I just got the email. So that's Jeff. Some of you may know him as Hunter Blue and Francis. So congratulations, guys. That's amazing. I mean, that is what we're about, right? We get you up to bat, and then it's up to you to make something happen. And Jeff, he got up to bat, and he made something happen. Actually, I believe they met at one of the socials, even maybe when he was wearing his kilt. I'm not absolutely sure about that. But even with the kilt, actually, that wasn't a bad kilt. He had this dressed kilt on. If you don't know Jeff, he is really into all that. And he goes to a lot of these affairs and events where he wears his kilt. And he actually wore that at the socials. But it was his dress kilt, and he looked pretty good in it, actually. But it's so cool when I get this. You know, I was driving back from somewhere here over the weekend, and another one of our clients just sent me a text, "Hey, John, give me a call." And so, you know, I gave him a call. He's already married. He's married to a wonderful Filipino woman, and they just had a baby about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and he's like, she's pregnant again. And he's so excited about it. The first time he was a little bit shocked, I think. And this time he's just boom, right there, so excited about it. And it's just, I mean, your first time, everybody's always in shock. I know I was, but it's a wonderful thing, right? And so that it was great for him. So I love hearing about these things. You know, this is what we do. We've been doing it for 30 years, and we've gotten so many notices of marriages and babies being born and all that kind of stuff, and it's just so cool to see. So just a huge shout out, Jeff. I just couldn't be happy for you. You're such a good guy. He was here on the show just a few weeks ago, and he said he was going down, and he said he was going to do it, and he did it. So congratulations, sir. That's wonderful. Love it. All right. There's a lot of shout outs going out tonight, but I also have to give a shout out to all the guys that are in Mexico City right now, where Jeff met his wife. And they're trying to do the same thing, because we just had our socials this past weekend in Mexico. So those guys are out there and networking and meeting all these different women, and that's great. And we just finished the one in Peru as well. So congratulations to all you guys that did that. You know, you're not keyboard Romeos. You're getting out there and you're making it happen, right? You're going offline and you're actually connecting with these women. I swear, this world is just getting harder and harder to connect with people, right? We're so virtual now. People are marrying holograms and all kinds of weird stuff going out there in the world. And just the old, just meeting and talking to each other without our phones, and just that connection. And we're losing that a little bit here as technology goes on and on and on. So it's so neat that we, as a kind of online dating company, I mean, that's how you find us. We're online, but we're also offline. And that's one of our best attributes, is you can meet and everything and get an idea of how this all works via the internet. But then you get off the damn internet and you go and actually dance and have dinner with these women and meet them and talk with them in person. You know, isn't that something new? It kind of is now. It's kind of crazy. So I'm going to try not to get too preachy here, but, you know, it's important, especially as we get a little bit older, to get off of that virtual space and get into reality, get into the real space, and go put yourself out there. Put yourself in a position to be successful. Showing up's about, 80% of it. If you can just show up, you've got so much more of a chance to be successful than so many others. There's Jeff in his kilt. He looks good out there. Look at him. He went out there, he did it. He put himself in a position to be successful, even wearing the kilt. and it worked for him. And now he's married. You see how that works, guys? All right. We have a tour going out this week to China. So that China tour is starting November 14th. It's right here. It's a little late to get on that one. Right? A little late. You need a visa and all that. So that one's pretty much done. We do have another one going to Kyiv, November 22nd. I just talked about that. That's why Anna's not here. A little late to get on that one too. That one's about done. That's sold out. So that's it. That's it for the rest of the year. So all you guys that said, okay, wait till the new year. I'm going to do it in the new year. That was in 2023, right? Right about, this time, October, November. Okay, new year, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go on one of these tours in 2024. Well, if you didn't do it, it's over, because there's no more tours left until 2025. So another year came and another year went. And if you did not pull the trigger and get on one of those tours, then I feel bad for you. I mean, then where are you? It's just, you're another year older. So guys, think about that too. I just did the seminars. I'm going to talk about those in a second, in Cleveland and in Chicago, and they were great. And we talked about this. And I had a guy that came up to me at that seminar who told me that he'd been watching us. He goes, John, I'm one of those guys. Over 20 years. And I get that at almost every seminar. Yeah, I've been watching it for almost over 20 years now. Because, guys, in 2 months, we're going to be celebrating our 30th anniversary. Ooh, that deserves one of these too. I did a search the other day. Only 5% of businesses have survived in the U.S., survived 30 years or longer. 5%. So 95% of businesses are gone far before 30 years. And very few even get to 15 or 20, but to get to 30 is a milestone. And we're going to make a big deal out of it, damn it. We're going to pat our back a little bit. And we're going to give out some stuff for you guys too, because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you for 30 years. So we're going to be giving away some stuff for you guys. So we have some ideas. We're working on it for our 30th year gala. Yeah, big deal. So it's a wonderful thing. All right? All right. By the way, guys, I'm doing this without any Mountain Dew. Cold turkey tonight, so bear with me. All right. All right. Got a lot of questions over here I'm going to have to get to. But I'm not ready for that quite yet because I want to talk about a couple more things. So yeah, Ukraine next week, and then, like I said, nothing until 2025. But guys, 2025, on the bright side, if you promised yourself you're going to do something in 2024 and you did not, then okay, that's it. That's in the rearview mirror. That's history. You have to always be looking forward, right? You can't just live in the past. Okay, that happens. Fine, move forward. 2025 is coming up. We have a tour in January going to Cebu. Great place, lots of marriages. Last one we did, I think we had like 7 engagements on that tour. Okay, so Cebu is an amazing opportunity, and that's right around the corner. You can start getting excited about it. You know, talk to Michelle, get your reservation in, because that probably will sell out in January. So get your reservation in early, and then start getting excited about it and get everything ready and start learning Filipino and figuring out what all the food's going to be over there. You should be fluent in Filipino before you go over. Just kidding, I'm still not fluent in Russian. And I'm married to a Russian for 25 years. But if you learn a few words of the language, it's a good thing, right? It could help you break the ice at that table. You see those tables. If you sit down there, you start saying like a phrase in their language. When I used to go to Russian, I'd sit down at the tables, I would say, Privet, как dela? And they all start looking at me like I'm crazy and start laughing because that's a very common greeting or a very familiar greeting. You wouldn't say that to strangers, and we were strangers until I said that, and they start laughing, then we were friends. That's how you break the ice, right? So you do something like that, guys, and the women love it. You know, just try a little with their language. I know we're American, and everyone should speak English, damn it. And that's the way we feel about it. But when you put a little bit of effort into learning their language, they appreciate it. They like it. Okay. So, China, and then, excuse me, we have, what do we have? We have January Cebu, and then we have, I think in February, we have a Mexico tour. You know, you could learn a little bit of Spanish. That's pretty easy. And go to Mexico. We have one that's going on right now there. Jeff did very well, and you could hit that in February, right? So lots of opportunities here, and then we're going to have lots more. We're thinking about adding another tour to Kiev, maybe Odessa, Kiev in March of next year. That's not on the board yet, but it probably will be here pretty soon. So that can be another opportunity for you guys who want to go to the Ukraine. Yeah, that's a little bit different with the war going on. Obviously, there's more risk with that, obviously, and you have to be able to absorb that risk and be okay with it. But if you are, then that's a possibility. All right. Okay. I'm going to get to a couple of your questions. I want to get back to our topic tonight, and we're going to talk about that. So Bruce, I already answered your question about the next trip to Ukraine. So that's probably going to be March, maybe April, but probably March. We'll see how things go. Say, hey kid, coming to Las Vegas next year for a seminar? You bet. I love Vegas. There's no way I'm not going to do a seminar in Vegas, barring another COVID experience, but in that year. So we'll definitely get one in there next year in Vegas for sure. And it's such a great turnout always in Vegas because guys from all over the country are like, AFA is having a seminar in Vegas, and hey, it's Vegas. So why not go, right? And we get a lot of guys that come and fly in from other parts of the country and even the world. Yes, the world. Okay, maybe Canada, but still, it's the world, right? And they come to the seminar, and it's great. So, yeah. All right. Mark says, congrats, John, on 30 years of successful service. Well, thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Still got about a month and a half to go to get there. If you see, this is what happens, Mark, when you marry a Russian woman. Or any woman from a different culture, but I'm talking about Russian women because I married a Russian woman. So when you marry someone from a different culture, like Russia, they have these certain, how shall we say, superstitions, especially some Russian women. My wife has a lot of superstitions. And one of them is you cannot say like happy birthday to someone if it's not their birthday. So if it's like a minute before their birthday and you say happy birthday, she will kill you. So you have to wait till it's the birthday. Because, sometimes it's like, hey, let's celebrate the birthday the day before because it's whatever, it's more convenient. No, you cannot do that. If you do that, then you will die. It's like, okay. I love my wife, I really do, but that is one of her superstitions, and I'm sure she's watching and she's going to yell at me when I get home. I'm not making fun of you. I'm just saying it is a superstition, and there are a few of them. I could go through the whole, one of these shows, I will go through the whole list of superstitions, because at one of the seminars, another gentleman is married to a Russian woman, and he came, and well, she's Ukrainian, but he came with her to the seminar to talk about it, and he was going down a list of superstitions, and I'm like, yeah, I know that one. Oh, I know that. No, that was a new one, but yeah, most of them I knew, so it's kind of fun. All right, but anyway, so yes, but thank you for that. I appreciate that, Mark. Yes. Let's see here. What is this? Ulysses? I made the 14-day Euro Club for Ukraine. Helen and Yana are already arranging dates when I arrive in Kyiv December 1st. Well, congratulations, sir. 14-day Euro Club. You're going to be a busy man. Lots of dating going on. And it's going to be an interesting trip to get yourself there, right? You know, it's not just like flying in. You know, when these guys are going to Ukraine, I mean, like I said, there's risk there. There's a war going on. You just can't fly into Kyiv. You have to go into Poland. Then you got to take a train, and it's like a 14-hour endeavor. And it is not easy. I have a ton of respect for these guys that are going to Ukraine and meeting these women who are living there every day. These women are there. They're living there. But these guys are going, and the women really appreciate it too. You know, you come and they're like, wow, you came during the war. That's pretty amazing, right? Now, again, it's not for everyone, okay? You have to really be okay with the fact that you are going to an active war zone, and that is absolutely positively not for your average bear. But if that's something that, you know, you feel you want to do, then yeah, that's cool. Okay. Let's see. Julian says, I have not been on an AFA tour yet. Well, why not, Julian? What are you waiting for? Maybe you just heard about it. It's okay. I'll give you a break. But I do worry what kind of people I will meet and if I will get on with them. Julian, you have come to the right show tonight. This is exactly what we're going to be talking about. So I'm going to answer a few more questions. Then I'm going to get into exactly what, it's amazing. It's like, did someone pay him to ask that question? Did you guys plant that? Was that a plant? Is Julian real? I think.
Question.
What's that?
Natural question.
Natural question. Not that they ever give me any plant questions, but I mean, I'm just saying because that is so on point. That is hilarious. Love it. All right. Sean says, hello, John, streaming from work. I'm glad all is well. Where's the Mountain Dew? I know. I just didn't have time. There's a long story why I don't have the Mountain Dew right now, but that's okay. I need to rely on myself. I cannot be always, you know, dependent on the Mountain Dew, right? I got to get off the Mountain Dew. I got to be able to do this without the dew, so I'm going cold turkey tonight. I'm trying, guys, so just bear with me. It's not easy, but I'm going to do this. All right. Dina might come back. Don wants to know if Dina's going to be back in 2025. She may come back for like a guest appearance or something like that. But Dina's very busy doing all the wonderful things that she's doing. And I just saw Dina, what was it, 2 days ago, Friday, or 3 days ago. And she's wonderful, doing wonderful things. All right. Pete says, I hear people say not to write on the site. Then why offer it all then? Great question, Pete. And here's the answer. We've been doing this for 30 years. A lot of guys want to be able to communicate that way. They want to be able to do it. And that's fine. If that's what you really want to do, then that's fine. Some guys would rather cut off their hand than write. And they never want to write. And that's fine too. That's what's wonderful about this site. It can be whatever you want it to be. If you want to just write and you have no intention of going over at all, and you just find value in that because you want to connect with someone, then you can do that. And that's fine. If that's really all you want to do. But if you really have an intention of meeting someone, then I don't believe you have to write. I believe you can just go over without writing and be just fine. Because I did it. I met my wife at a social. I never knew she existed till that night. But when I was there and I saw her and she saw me, I fell in love. And after I convinced her for quite some time, I think she fell in love too, obviously, since we're still married after 27 years of meeting, and we just celebrated our 25th year anniversary, but without a letter. We never wrote to each other before meeting. Some guys think before you go on the tour, you have to write. You have to have a connection before you can go. And that's just false. It's just not true. Intuitively, I can see how you could think that, but it is not true, okay? So now there are ways that you can marry the two. Pardon the pun. But how I mean is, if you're really serious about going over, but you want to have some kind of connection maybe before you go, then yeah, you can write a little bit. And as long as you listen to what we say and you don't write for 5 years before you go over, but maybe for a month, maybe 2 before you go over, and you pick out some of the women you think you want to meet when you get there, and you let them know that you're going to be there, and let them know you may want to have a date with them, and you can get a little bit going, then that's great. We had a gentleman here, Robert, who in Phoenix, who was writing to 3 different women in the Philippines, and he was writing quite a bit before he went. And when he got there, he took the tour just in case, right? He was writing to them, probably for a few months. But then when he got there and he took the tour just in case it didn't work out, he met all 3 of them before the socials even started. So he got there a couple days early. And 2 of them, there was just no connection. I mean, the letters were great, but there just was no connection between them. But the 3rd one, there was a huge connection. Such a great connection that he invited her to the socials as dates. So he was pretty much done. He knew what he wanted. She knew what she wanted. And they did get married. And I know that for a fact because I walked her down the aisle here in Phoenix. So in his case, it helped him to write somewhat, right? But what we're trying to tell you is be responsible for it, for what you do, right? Be responsible. And yeah. All right. So let me see here. Okay, I'm gonna now get into, God, you guys got a lot of questions here, and by the way, here's one, finally. Poll answer. Yes, I still keep in touch with some of the guys I met on tour in Ukraine. Okay. Don said, you could have brought Tanya on you with the webcast tonight. Well, thank you, Don, I appreciate that. But Tanya was just with me on the 2 seminars we did in Cleveland and in, where were we? With Cleveland and Chicago. And actually, she was great because she was able to talk with the guys and really connect with them. But Tanya is home taking care of a new baby she just adopted, baby dog, but just adopted and would not be able to make it here tonight. All right. So I want to talk a little bit, and I'm going to get back to your question. So please, Paul, thank you so much for answering the question. And please, Ukraine Dave, good to see you as well. Give you a little shout out, Dave. You know why. So, a couple of reasons. One, that you helped us with this. All right. So let me talk a little bit about the topic because we're already halfway through the show and we haven't gotten to it yet. That's what I do. I kind of go off on these tangents. I'm terrible like that. So I'm going to try to stay focused here on what I want to talk about a little bit tonight. All right? Because I think it's important. So let's talk first of all about the seminars. So we recently did some seminars in Cleveland and Chicago, and they were amazing. I mean, it was great fun. The guys were great turnout. It was really cool. But what was really cool in both of the venues, both Cleveland and Chicago, we had guys that had made friends on the tour that came to the actual seminar together, right? They say, hey, I'm going to go to a seminar. Okay, I'm going to go to, let's meet up there and hang out. So they came together to share their experiences. So they went on these tours and figured out that, they lived, in approximately fairly close to each other, made friends with each other, and now hang out together, discuss, what's going on with them as far as this goes and other things. And it's really cool. And where was it? In Chicago, okay, 2 guys came and they had met on Colombian tours. They had gone back together on a couple of the tours, right? So they'd been like 2 or 3 tours. They loved it. They talked about how great it was. And one of them owns a very successful large business, and he hired the other guy. So the other guy is now working for him. And the other guy came up to me at the seminar and thanked me so much for giving him the opportunity to meet this guy so he could get this great job. It's like his dream job. One of them is close to getting married. He met a woman that he really likes, the guy that owns the business. The other one is still dating and still, trying and doing great, but he loves it. He loves going. Actually, the one who has the business and is getting close to getting married, I think is a little envious of the other one because the other one still gets to go to the socials and meet all the women. So, and that's one thing. I say this all the time. One of the best complaints I ever received about our tours is, John, the biggest complaint I have about this tour is that it worked and I can't do it again because they are enjoyable. All right, well, let me get back to my point here, though. The point is that those guys went on the tour to meet all these beautiful women. That's what this is about, right? That is the main purpose of our tours. And we do a great job, guys, of introducing you to lots and lots of different women. And hopefully, you're going to meet one that you may want to spend the rest of your life with. And more importantly, she may want to spend the rest of her life with you. And if that happens, that's a wonderful thing. But there's peripheral things that happen on the tour, okay? And one of those peripheral things is the opportunity to meet some of the other guys on the tour. Why? Well, let's think about that for a minute. As you get older, it gets more and more difficult to make friends, to meet people. It just does. And with men, I mean, that's just how it is. And it starts from a very young age. I've been reading, because I get all these articles about these things, and I've been reading a little bit about it. And yeah, with men, I mean, we're kind of put in this man box when we're a little kid and we're told, don't show your feelings, don't do this, don't do that. So, we're just always like, yeah, we're good. Yeah, that's fine, we're good. And we don't really reach out like women do, emotionally, to make friends and do all this stuff. And if you're a guy and you're in a marriage for 20 or 30 years, who makes all the social context and makes up all the social things you're doing? Usually the woman in the marriage. And what happens when you get divorced? She takes all that with you. And then you're left with a dog. And sometimes she takes the dog too, damn it. And then you're left with no one, right? And it kind of sucks. And then all of a sudden, after 30 years of being married or 20 years of being married, like, oh, now I got to go out and make friends and do all this stuff, and it's a pain in the ass. And it's different. And we're just not used to it because we've always been told from a young age, don't show your feelings. I remember that. When I was a kid, I'll tell you a quick little story. I was like 7 years old, and I lived in Cleveland. All you guys know I lived in Cleveland. And we're getting ready to take this trip to Detroit to see some relatives. I had some relatives in Detroit. And I'm all excited because we never went anywhere on vacation, right? My other friends went to places. No, we never went anywhere. And this was a big deal. We get on a turnpike. I didn't even know what a turnpike was, but someone said something, oh, there's going to be a turnpike. Wow, a turnpike. Now I hate turnpikes. You got to pay for them. But when you're a kid, that was exciting. And so I'm excited. And my father looked at me and he's like, what's the matter with you? Kind of slaps me. Don't show your feelings. My father, ex-Marine. What are you doing? Never show your feelings, right? And so I was like, okay, can't show you're excited. Can't do any of that. That's just how it is, especially with men. And you grow up, and that's just a dynamic, whether you want to admit it or not. Most men will never admit it because, well, you don't talk about it. Because why? Because you're a man. So, it's harder to make friends. Okay, all that, and I don't want to go into deep whole psychological stuff because don't need to do that. But that's just kind of how it is. So when you go on a tour like this, other than meeting all the women, who else are you meeting? Well, you meet our staff, and our staff is great. You'll make friends with them as well. But you're also meeting some of the other guys that are there. And it's kind of cool because they're kind of like you. They're a little bit different because they're on this tour. And I always say you got to be a little bit different to do something like this because it's out of the box. You have to be thinking a little bit differently, right? And so the guys that do this think a little bit differently like you do. And they're on this tour. And they're fun to be around. And you kind of bond together because we take a group of 10, 15, 30 of you, whatever it is, whatever tour, and we take you to a foreign country and we throw you in this crazy environment we call a social, and we just put you out there. Now we give you a lot of support. We give you a matchmaker and we do all that. I'm kind of being a little bit over the top there, but we do kind of put you in this strange environment. And at the very beginning of this, you guys kind of bond together. You're like, okay, you're here, okay, I'm here, okay, what's going on? And you kind of start talking to each other, and you kind of figure out who you're kind of, going to make friends with and hang out with a little bit at the very beginning. You do. It happens, and it's great. And what's really cool about it is sometimes you get the strangest pairings of guys that will become maybe lifelong friends that would never even talk to each other in real life. I tell that story all the time about the trucker and the bank president. I mean, I was on one tour where you had the trucker, really rough guy, trucker kind of guy, and the bank president, which was, Mr. Professional Bank President. And those two were inseparable. I mean, they were just like together all the time, giving each other advice. Listening to the trucker give the bank president advice and vice versa was hilarious. Just the way they talked to each other and the language they used. And they would have never done that in real life. But because they were in Russia, that's where this happened, strange place. they just kind of bonded, and it was cool. So, I've seen this over and over again. So it's a great opportunity to make some real lifelong friends. So even if you don't meet the woman of your dreams, and that's what the main, purpose of this tour is, okay? Let's not fool ourselves. That's what it's about, okay? You guys, well, John, I didn't go over there to meet mother guys. I mean, yeah, I get that, okay? That's fine. But why not? If you meet someone over there that, you can relate with and you can kind of bond with, because I know the guy who just got married, they just flashed him on the screen, I think, Jeff, he's made some really good friends on this tour, on these tours that he's been on, and he's still friends with them. They still talk all the time. So, and I can tell you tons and tons of guys I've talked to who have told me they've made great friends. Joe the cop, who is here in Phoenix. A lot of his friends are now from these tours, guys that he met on the tours and just related with. And guys, these tours are just so much fun. So when you're on them, yeah, you're meeting all these women, you're going on dates, and that's great, and that's what you're there for, and it's fun. But then you've got some downtime. You got some time when you're maybe hanging out at the bar or at breakfast, and you're talking to these other guys, and you're telling stories, and you're hearing what they're doing, and you're seeing all these different things, and your face starts to hurt because you're laughing so much, because there's so much going on these tours. It's just funny. It's really, you can't write this stuff. If you want, like, if Hollywood's come to us quite often. They've done pilots about us, right? They've done Bachelors Abroad, right? National Geo did that, and they've done all these other shows with us. And they're like, well, do we need to write that? You don't have to write anything. Just go and watch what happens. I know a lot of reality shows are kind of scripted, I think. This one you would never have to script. You couldn't script it. You could not script the things that happen on these tours because they're just so crazy and so spontaneous. They just happen, right? And then all these things are happening and you're with a group of guys in the same hotel together for 7 days, 10 days, 14 days, whatever it is. And you're eating breakfast together sometimes, even though you don't have to, right? The breakfast is from like 7 to 10. You go down when you want. But a lot of guys want to go down and talk to each other and whatnot. And it's just fun. I'll get some guys sometimes who'll say, okay, John, I want to do your tour, but I want to stay at a different hotel for whatever reason. Maybe they got points or something and they want to just stay at a different hotel. I'm like, you can do that, but you're really sacrificing a big part of what the tour is about by doing that because you're taking yourself out of that environment where everything's really happening, especially after hours and stuff. And you see all these fun things and stuff going on. If you're living in a different hotel, yeah, you're going out with the women, you're doing all that, and that's great, but you're missing so much more that goes on as part of this group tour, right? I mean, it's just, there's so much to this. It's so hard for me to sit up here and talk about it, even at the seminars where I have a lot of visual aids. Well, I have visual aids here too, really. That's true. And I can talk and talk and talk, but until you go on that tour, you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. You're listening to me right now, yeah, this guy up there talking, but I'm telling you, for the guys that have been on the tour, they will tell you the same thing. You got to go to really appreciate all the different things that you will experience and benefit from. And we had plenty of guys that just came to these seminars in Cleveland and Chicago that had been on the tour before, and the only reason they came was to share their experiences. We even had a gentleman in Chicago who came with his wife that he met in the Ukraine, and they both came with their little baby they just had. And he got up there and talked for about 30 minutes about all the things that he went through and gave advice and everything. Yeah, and they just had this little beautiful baby. And they all came, the three of them, to this seminar. I didn't pay them to come. I didn't even ask them to come. They asked me if they could come. And you know who you are, Cody, if you're watching this. Thank you so much for coming, because that was amazing. And by the way, your wife is so beautiful and so nice. You really should have paid a surcharge. I mean, you got off. I mean, you did so well, Cody. That's all I can say. I mean, my God. I got to give him a hand because, it was amazing. I mean, and they drove from another state to come just to attend that seminar and talk about their experience and share it with you guys who were at that seminar. I mean, how cool is that, right? From another state they came. I mean, it wasn't a state that far away, but still, it was a different state. And I thought it was pretty amazing. I just, yeah. So, all right. So, guys, all I can tell you is, you know, you got the holidays coming up, right? You know, we got Thanksgiving in a couple weeks, and then you got the Christmas, and you got the New Year's. And if, you know, you're somewhat alone, somewhat isolated, that could be a challenging time. There's no doubt about it, right? And that's tough, and it doesn't have to be. You know, you don't need to do that, right? There's so many avenues you can go. Even if you go on one of these tours and you don't meet the woman of your dreams, maybe you'll meet someone who lives in your area who's a friend, and you can hang out with him once in a while and go have a beer and shoot some pool or whatever. I don't know. Whatever you guys do, doesn't matter. Just do something, right? Instead of just sitting at home and, you know, being stuck in a virtual world. You don't want to do that, right? All right. Enough of my public service announcement. Sometimes I can get a little preachy. I know that. I've been told that, and I'm trying not to. I'm going to a group about that. Don't be preachy. All right. Let me get to a couple more of your questions. I know it's off topic. Julian wants to know, but is there any issues with AFA emails? I'm not getting any response from customer service or AFA website or Maria in Colombia. Julian, I don't know. Why don't you do this? Why don't you call in tomorrow and let's figure out, maybe they're going to spam. That happens sometimes. You were usually pretty good about answering our emails, especially in Colombia. They're great about it, and we're good here. So I'm not sure why you're not getting anything. But again, this isn't probably the best place to be talking about that, like you say. But call in tomorrow, talk to Brianna. She can look into it further for you and get that taken care of for you, okay? Let's see. McKissick said, Happy Veterans Day. Thanks to those who served like I did and continue to serve. Well, thank you so much, McKissick, for doing that. And a little bit of a round of applause for you on that as well. Terrence Barber, salute to all of our veterans. Absolutely. And I talked about that at the top of the show. And again, we should probably talk about it for you guys coming in. But I'm telling you, I have the utmost respect for all of you veterans who put yourself in harm's way just for going into the military. No matter what happened after that, but just by that act alone, you put yourself in harm's way. So some knucklehead like myself can sit up here and pontificate about things with the freedom to do so, because in some countries you can't do this. What I'm doing right now, you can't even do, right? And we have the freedom to do so much here that we just kind of take for granted a lot. And on Veterans Day, we should probably take a minute to reflect on that and reflect on everyone who's given the greatest sacrifice you can ever give for allowing us to have this kind of freedom that we enjoy. Yeah, you should never take it for granted, ever. Okay. Tuck. Let me go back up here. So, Julian, that was the question I was talking about when you said, I have not been on an FA tour yet, but I do worry what kind of people I will meet and if I will get on with them. I have been on a ton of tours, right? I've probably been to 400 socials or so, or whatever it's been, I don't know, ton of socials. And I can tell you that virtually in all those circumstances, the men got along really well. Once in a while, you'll get a personality conflict where the two guys just don't get along that great, right? And that's fine. You're not going to get along with everyone. You just kind of go about your business, and you're not going to be best friends forever. Okay, whatever. But in general, the guys that go on these tours are very cooperative, not competitive. It's not a competitive thing. I know you might think it's a competitive thing. Well, these women, we're all, No, it's not. It is cooperative. Why? Well, first of all, there's about at least a 7-to-1, if not a 10-to-1, sometimes 15-to-1. I've seen 20-to-1 ratios of women to men. Think about those numbers, right? We just did a social last month in Kiev, Ukraine, with, I think it was like 12 guys. And watching this video, that was great. I think there was about 12 guys. This woman has great facial expressions, if you guys are watching the same thing I am. And there was 175 women. That's not competitive. That's not competition for the guys. There might be one or two women that maybe a couple guys are interested in the same, but you know what? That's all going to flesh out because the women are the ones that pick anyway, for the most part. And the women are going to let you know who they're most interested in, and that's fine. That's the way it should be. So the guys really help each other. You'll hear at breakfast where the guy's like, I went out with this girl and I really think that she'd be good for you though, because she's this or that, and he knows what you're looking for and that kind of thing, right? And they help each other. It's more competitive for the women because at these socials, there's far more women than there are men. Now, the reason we do that is not just to make it competitive for the women and to make it, so less competitive for you guys. It's just that it's a time issue. I mean, you went a long ways, right, to get to this destination. You're only going to be there for like a week, maybe 10 days. Some of you might stay for the 14 days. But, we only have a couple opportunities, these 2 nights at these socials, to try to get you in front of as many women and get the women in front of you so that all of you, the women and the men, have a brief opportunity to meet. That's all we want, is a brief opportunity to meet. We do these speed dating events, right? And everybody gets to meet everybody. A guy's going to be at a table for about 10, 12 minutes. There's going to be about 4 or 5, maybe 6 women at that table. And we're just going to talk a little bit, but the talking's all fine, unless you got some real deal breaker questions that you can't have a woman with children, let's say, or she must want children, those kind of things. But what's really going on at those tables, other than those questions, is the body language, is the eye contact. All that, that chemistry, that boom, that's what matters. When I saw Tanya at that social in Russia 27 years ago, it was that eye contact. It was that woo, like that lightning strike, boom. And then I knew I was done. I mean, that's what you want to have. You want to feel that earth move under your feet. That's what you want. And that's what these socials are about for both the women and the men, because we want to have as many women as possible have a chance to meet the men that we have there. That's why we do the socials with the numbers we do. And that's why it's so important for you guys to go to as many of these socials as possible and meet as many of these women as possible, so that you give yourself and these women every opportunity to be successful, to see where that real chemistry is. And then you have the time to go out on dates afterwards and date these women that you feel there might be this attraction to. And maybe you go on the date and you find out, she seems like a serial killer, or she thinks you seem like a serial killer, or whatever it is, and you just don't think it's going to work, right? Once you really start talking to her and get an idea of who she is. Okay, fine. But at least you had that opportunity to go out on that date with someone that at least physically you felt there was chemistry between the two of you. Because if you just go over and you ask us to set you up on a date and you've never met the woman before, when she comes to the date destination, there may be zero chemistry at the very beginning. And it doesn't matter if you have a lot of other things that are in common. Usually if there's zero chemistry, zero physical compatibility or attraction, then nothing else is going to happen. So you alleviate all that. You do away with all that at the socials, because you determine right away whether or not there is any kind of connection. And once you do that, then you can move on. All right. Let's see here. Jeremy says, it's going to take me a few years to learn fluent Russian. Yeah, me too, Jeremy. It still is. Yeah. It's not easy. But you know what? I think it's really cool. Michael says, I got stuck with the dog. Well, at least you got the dog, Michael. I mean, that's a good thing. All right. I'm going to try, because you guys got a lot of questions here, and now we're already at 6:15. So I'm going to get into this more. Dave is asking why some profiles these women have listed as their locations, unfortunately, are not accurate at all. Unfortunately, right now, Dave, they're moving around a lot. And so if you find a problem with a woman and you find that it's not accurate, please let us know. So first of all, we could change it on the site. Second of all, we can ensure that she is where she says she is and make sure that it's all cool. All right, so that's what you need to call in and talk to us about. Joe asks, are you seeing more engagements in Ukraine because of the war? Not really, Joe, because it's harder for guys to get over there and make something happen because of the war, right? And so I don't know if we're seeing more really right now. I think you will as time goes on and more guys start going over. I think you're going to start seeing more just because of all the terrible dynamics that are happening there right now. It's a shame. I mean, it's awful what's going on there. But yeah, it's just not a good thing. Barney wants to know, are more seminars coming up? Yeah, we are going to try to get the seminars posted. I don't know if we'll get to do any more this year or not. Probably not, but we're going to do some more here next year. Sean said, I'm friends with plenty of the guys from both of the tours I did. No drama or jealousy. I was the youngest on both tours. Okay. Blue says, there you are, Jeff. Pole, still friends with the guys, and it's a great network. Cool, Jeff. And Jeff, if you're on there listening, why? Go be with your wife, man. You are married now. Get off of here. But I love you being here too. But that's me being selfish. You need to go do what you got to do, Jeff. Come on. Future patrician, are tours included in the executive plan? Yes, you actually get to go if you're an executive. You can choose to go over during a group tour and then go to the socials and all that. So that is included as far as the socials are included. Yeah. Jeff says, John, you meet guys you never would normally meet. Let me say that again, because that is profound for what we do. So Jeff says, you meet guys you never would normally meet. What does he mean by that? I can tell you what he means by that. And I touched on it when I talked about it, is that when you go on a tour like this, what are you doing? You're going to a different country to meet women. You're not going to the corner bar like 95% of your friends and other men are doing and sitting there with your beer in your hand whining about how there's no women and it's a sausage fest and it sucks. But then you drink the beer, you go home, and what you do? You go back to the same bar the next night. There's no women, sausage fest. You drink the beer, go home, rinse, lather, repeat. That's what you do. That's what 95% of the men do. They just whine about it and they don't do anything to change it. That's why I yell and scream when I get to these seminars, not at the guys that are there. I applaud them and I thank them for coming. I yell and scream about all the guys that aren't there. I talk about how we should have a stadium filled with guys because there's tons of guys that could benefit from this, but they won't. They never will for a whole host of reasons, but mostly because they just don't want to change. They're not going to try anything different. Okay, so what Jeff means by that is you're going to meet guys that you would never normally meet because these are the guys that you want to meet. These are the guys that think outside the box. These are the guys like you that are willing to do something like this, willing to take a chance, willing to go out of their comfort zone, willing to do it. And most guys aren't. And so when you meet other guys like you, all of a sudden you have a chemistry with these guys. I know, Ken, I'm not talking about a sexual thing, okay? Somebody raising your eyebrow, what's he doing? What kind of tour is this? Okay, we're all grown-ups here. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about maybe developing a cool lifelong relationship with someone that turns out to be great. Someone you could call and talk to about things that are going on in your life. Wouldn't that be nice once in a while to have some guy that you could actually just call and, shoot the shit with and talk to a little bit? Because a lot of us don't have anybody like that, right? So it'd be nice. And a lot of guys have done that and made friends like that. And sometimes those friendships turn into businesses, turn into jobs, like the guy I just told you about who was thanking me because he met his friend who happened to own a great company who he's now working for, that kind of thing. Those things happen. Why? Because we do these tours and you guys go on them. And it's not just about go over, meet woman, come home. There's so much more that you're going to experience on these tours. That's why I keep saying that it is the best singles travel, men's single travel value in the world. And there is nothing that's better. And if you ever, anybody in the sound of my voice ever comes up with something better, tell me, let me know. Something better. And at the same time, at the same price point or less. If you ever come up with anything like that, please let me know, because I haven't seen it in 30 years. And no one's been able to show it to me in 30 years. Not once. I stand by that. All right. I'm getting preachy again. You guys back there, you're supposed to slap me when I get preachy. Something. Like we should have like a buzzer. I get preachy, you buzz. And then, ping, something. Jeez. All right. I think I'm less preachy on the Mountain Dew than I am without the Mountain Dew. All right. Mark says, John, I've been alone for so many years, I've got used to it. All right. I guess. I mean, you can get used to anything, I guess. But why? You don't have to get used to it, Mark. You can change if you want to. All right? Now, maybe you don't. Maybe you're so used to it that you're comfortable with it and you don't want to, and that's possible. But and I appreciate you sharing that with me. And I'm not trying to, belittle or do anything. I really appreciate you coming on the show all the time. But Mark, our lives are not video games. you don't get a second or third opportunity, a second or third chance, a second or third life. You get one. And when it's gone, it's gone. Yeah. All right. Well, can you give me advice for dealing with an angry Ukrainian lady? It's bound to happen soon. Run! Run! Just run fast. Because after a while, she'll get over it. She has to get it out. I've learned about this. And it's with most women, I think, but with Eastern European women, if they get upset, they need to talk about it. They need to get it out. And so you stay around long enough to hear that, then run, and then you can come back a few hours, depending on what you did or depending on how mad she is, and then they're usually fine. And then, and then give them a big hug. And you know, that's something that even I don't always think about doing, but that's something you should do. Big hug, and that can really go a long ways. Yeah. All right. Julian, would it be okay to wear my medals at a social event in Colombia? Yeah, I think so. I think that would be cool, especially, you know, when we're talking about Veterans Day right now and all that. I think that would be cool. I think that you should talk to the women in Colombia, the staff there, about what you're going to do and get their advice as well, because they're going to be able to advise you better than I can even about that. But I personally don't think it's an issue at all. I think it's a great thing. But talk to the women there and see what their input is on it too. Okay. Let's see here. Blue says, I love you guys. I really do. You guys are great. I mean, you know, this show would not be half the fun it is without you guys telling me all these stories. So Blue says, John, I was talking today with a guy who met the woman of his dreams. The woman of his dreams. But he won't commit because he wants to go on more tours. Yeah. Okay. Let me tell you a story about that. And Blue, I know, because I hear this from guys all the time. Well, I don't know. You know, she does eat her peas one at a time. I mean, I don't know. Guys, there's a couple men I can tell you about, so I'll put this in like one story. But there's a guy who met the woman of his dreams in the Ukraine many, many years ago. I mean, this woman was perfect. She had everything, right? He would have been happy forever. But he just wasn't quite ready to pull the trigger. He just didn't think that it was time. For whatever reason, he thought he could do better, okay? And so he didn't pull the trigger. About 2 years later, she got married to someone else. Kind of killed him when that happened because she was still kind of out there, but she got sick of waiting for him and got married to someone else, actually from our service. And then he started going on more and more tours. And he compared everyone he was meeting to her. Now we're talking, this was going on for like 10 years. He just kept going on our tours and others, meeting individually, whatever. He just kept doing all this dating stuff. But every time he would meet a woman, he would compare to her. And the problem is that he built her up so much in his mind that no one could ever compare or match or surpass what he now had in his mind. And he was just never able to get that same feeling with anyone else. And it's sad. And he never, as far as I know, got married, right? Because he just never could find that replacement, I guess. I hate the air quotes, by the way. Sorry, I just did that. I'll slap myself. Okay. But yeah, that happens, guys. That's a real thing. And I've seen that more than once. So nothing's ever going to be perfect. She might not, or she may, eat her peas one at a time. That's a Seinfeld line, by the way. Okay, so what? Get over it. It's real life. Real life is messy. You know, Tanya and I talk about the underwear stage. Yeah, when you meet someone and everything's great, you're dating and everything's perfect and you're on your best behavior, she's on her best behavior, that's all easy. That's all fun. The facade's still up. But sooner or later, that facade's going to come down. And she's going to, you know, she has bodily functions. You have bodily functions. You may actually experience some of it, right? I mean, things happen. Well, I'm still not sure Tanya actually has bodily functions. That's a whole other thing. I'm sorry. You may experience that from time to time. You may experience the dirty underwear stage. I talk about that, where you're doing laundry. You're doing real life things. It's real life, okay? And so if sometimes that's just a shallow thing. You're just being too shallow. You know, you have to get your expectations in line and understand that you're going on these tours, you're meeting all these wonderful women, and if you meet someone that you feel great with, you feel like you've never felt before with, and you feel like this could be the one, then maybe it is the one. Maybe it's time for you, right? Now, I'm not telling you to just jump into anything, but at least get serious about her. Get in a monogamous situation with her. Start dating her for a while. I mean, Tanya and I met. I thought it was great. I was ready to marry her the next day, but it took us 1.5 years to be really sure that it was the right thing for both of us. And that's what you should probably be doing too. But yeah, Blue, I get that. Mark says, I might try to put in my open reservation by December. Well, Mark, baby steps, right? That's your first step. And that's a big step. It's even bigger than a baby step. Baby step maybe is listening to this, right? And then put in your open reservation is a step. Then deciding where you want to go with that open reservation. Because guys, I can tell you, I got guys who put in their open reservation 20 years ago. They still got that damn open reservation, but that was 20 years ago. Don't do that. Don't be one of those guys. You're going to put in that open reservation. Do you use it within a year? Okay? Use it and go. I'm serious. I've had guys call me. John, is that reservation still good? I put it in 20 years ago. I'm like, yeah. It's still good, but you know, I get to slap you for not using it 20 years ago because now you're 20 years old. Do you think it's any easier to meet someone 20 years older? No, it's not. Newsflash. Captain Obvious. All right. Don says, when would be a good time to call you this week? Anytime, Don. I'm usually around here. Just call reception and they will get to me. Sorry, there's a bug flying around my computer for some reason. Okay. DC Cat says, are the biggest cities in Ukraine handicap accessible? Not as much as they are here in the U.S. They don't have the, ADA and all that stuff. Better than it used to be in Kiev, let's say. So talk to us before you go, and we could tell you some of the hotels that would be better to go than others and things like that. But yeah, it's better, but it's not perfect. It's just not. Julian, John, or thank you to John from me for answering all my questions. It's very much appreciated. No, Julian, it's very much appreciated that you and all these other guys are sharing your time with us. That's what we appreciate, right? Because without you guys, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing. And I can't tell you, after 30 years of dealing with thousands and thousands of men and women, how lucky I feel that we've had this opportunity to help as many people as we've helped. And I've had this opportunity via this company to meet my wife, the love of my life. That would have never happened without this company. So, yeah, don't thank me. I'm just lucky to be up here talking. Someone's listening to me, which I find amazing. So, yeah, it's a great thing. All right, guys. And we just are at about the 6:30 mark, and I think I got with all of your questions. I do believe, I hope. If I missed someone, I'm so sorry. Please feel free to give us a call back tomorrow. We'll talk about it, but I think I got everybody. I'm looking here. And I think I got everybody. A lot of questions. You guys are great. And I hope you understood what I'm trying to get at with that thing about making friends, and not being isolated, because that's important. Sometimes we get into this isolation thing and we think, well, it's just the way it is. Damn it, I'm a man, and that's just how it is. And I get that, right? I mean, I'm in that age. I'm like the last of the boomer age, I guess, or whatever that is, and that's just how we were raised, and it's fine. But everyone's got feelings. They're there, not just women. Women are so much more advanced at being able to deal with their feelings and their emotional quotient and all that stuff than we are as men. They just are, and they're good at it, and we're not. And that's just for a lot of reasons I'm not going to get into, and that's fine. But if you can realize that and understand that, hey, there might be some cool guys I can meet over here, and maybe have same interests as I do, that I could pick up a phone and talk to once in a while, or maybe go on another tour. I mean, we did a seminar once in Vegas, and 3 or 4 of those guys from that seminar, because when we do a seminar, obviously guys pretty much from the same area come to the seminar. We do get guys that fly in from different places or drive in from different states, but for the most part, it's kind of localized. And so they'll make friends at the seminars. they'll exchange contact information because these seminars aren't just me pontificating up there. They're you guys talking too, and you're kind of talking to each other, and we have breaks and stuff, and then you're kind of talking with each other about what's going on and everything, and then you go out. So in Vegas, 3 or 4 guys went to a restaurant, a Chinese food restaurant, after the seminar in Vegas, and they all went on the same tour to China as like this little group from Vegas. And John kind of spearheaded that, not me, but this other guy. And that was really cool. And so, and those things happen a lot. And it's nice when that does. So, all right. So for what it's worth, guys, that's what I want to talk about tonight. Hopefully I help someone out there. All right. We will be back next week, which is like a week before Thanksgiving, I think. I think so. We're getting close. So yeah, cool stuff. Getting ready for the holidays, all that. So we'll talk a little bit about that and some other fun stuff. Start thinking about 2025. That schedule's up. The one for the Ukraine is not posted yet, but we'll be talking about it, and maybe we'll have it up in another week or so once we decide exactly how and where we want to do that one. The war just, it causes us to just tread lightly here, so we'll see where we go with that one. But for Asia and Latin America, all of 2025 schedule is there for you. Best possible value in single men's travel today. So look at it, make your open reservation at least, and then you can decide where you want to go after that and get on the board for 2025 and make that the year that it happens. All right? All right, guys, enough of me. Thank you so much for being with us, and until next time, be safe. Thank you.
Hello, Carson.
Hello, Anna.
How are you doing this morning?
Fantastic.
So we're in Odessa. There were 2 socials behind. Tell me, please, why you decided to come to Ukraine, first of all?
Well, I came to Ukraine for several reasons.